Our survival as a species has always depended on our drive to seek out the undiscovered, push beyond our limits, and expand the boundaries of our known world.
It's E3! Yeah! Woo! Hey, John, it's E3. You know what that means? Way too many podcasts.
Oh, shit!
So many podcasts.
Stone Mountain!
It's so... Weather! Hey, everybody, welcome to our D3 day -1, I guess we have to do now.
Yeah, because the Monday is day 0.
Fuckers.
So day
Fucking my shit up.
-1.
Yep, day -1 podcast. I'm Jim.
I'm John.
And we're not going to belabor any of this bullshit. Oh, I had Taco Bell. No, fuck it. EA.
Fuck it. We're going right into this shit.
Let's go. We're doing it live.
Let's do it.
Hey, so there were 2 conferences on Sunday, and those are the ones that we're talking about right now. And the very first one was EA at E3. So EA is breaking it up this year.
Yeah, they said we're not going to be at E3.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we're going to have our own event on Sunday.
Yeah.
And our own press event that is technically not part of E3.
Yep.
It's in like a different area of town than E3, though in the same city, and then also simultaneously in the UK.
I think it's because they're letting the general public in, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously they want more exposure for regular, normal people. Anyway, it's
Also probably cheaper.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably cheaper to have their own event than to pay all the money for a booth at E3 and for a press conference.
Yeah. I still just sit around and wonder, like, when everybody's just going to go over to the Nintendo Direct. It's not about a huge booth. Let's just go rent a theater. I mean, fuck, dude. John, I'm just going to, okay, we'll briefly segue here. You know, right?
Yeah.
That, like, if you and I asked the patrons, asked the Rage Select audience, if we did a fundraiser, we could rent the Marchesa and live stream something that was, I bet we could get to, like, 80% of what I'm seeing here. We could just multi-camera setup. We can borrow some cameras from friends. We can rent a few cameras.
Yeah.
Go to the Twitch stream, get the internet connection set up, do a live stream. We could do this. Now, of course, when we got to the all-important part of having any video games to show,
we would fail.
But
hey, it still wouldn't be much different than EA's press conference.
Bazinga! I can wear a shirt and get one of those little behind-the-ear mics and go up on stage. I mean, I don't like to wear a shirt. Anyway,
would you do the old Peter Moore thing where you roll up your sleeve and there's a fake tattoo on your arm?
Hell yeah,
announcing something.
It's just from a Cracker Jack box. It's just of a pirate. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, EA started and they trotted out my favorite CEO of anyone, and it's been so long since I worked at Spill, since I even saw the man himself, but Andrew Wilson, aka Satan.
Yeah.
He is one of my favorites because he looks like a plastic man sent from the future.
Yeah, he does.
And then he
looks like one of those robots from Detroit.
He looks like Jude Law in fucking AI.
Yeah.
Like he's a gigolo bot.
I know that talking about Detroit is a completely different press conference. But still, he looks like one of those robots.
He looks so weird. He's so crazy and silly looking. But he comes out, and I have to say that, okay, this is maybe skipping to the end of this particular one, but like this year, I think that EA wins the award for most style with the least substance humanly possible.
Yes, I agree with you completely.
Of all these conferences, spoiler alert, this one was probably the most disappointing of them all.
Yeah.
And that includes the fact that Nintendo didn't even have one, but they just showed a good game for like 4 hours, so...
Good God, yeah.
Whatever.
And they still got more to show.
Yeah, we'll get to
that.
that.
As of recording this.
We'll get to that eventually.
A later date.
So anyway, Satan comes out, he's like, buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. Also, 2 shows, Peter Moore. Peter Moore's like, buzzword, buzzword. Back to you, Andrew Wilson.
Buzzword.
And he's like, buzzword. I look like I should be wearing lipstick. There's something about this guy's face that I feel like I want him to have more makeup on. Like, I want him to have more makeup, not less, more.
Like Peter Moore?
Yeah, Peter Moore's makeup on. Yeah. Anyway, he's also wearing some real tight pants there. Anyway,
he's got them skinny jeans.
Let's go back with that. So anyway, buzzwords, and then let's skip ahead. And finally, we're going to get to see our first game. And, I gotta give credit where credit is due. I'm actually going to look at the lineup here. I think this is, like, outside of one indie game, like the only new gameplay IP that we see outside of sports games too. I guess there's a lot of caveats on top of that. No, Battlefield 1, whatever. Okay. Anyway, this is Titanfall 2. So Vince Zampella comes out and he says that the game's going to be on the PS4 as well, which I think we already knew that it was
rumored
one time console exclusive. And the first thing they do is they show like a multiplayer trailer, and they
added ropes.
I tell you what, I think it's kind of a hell of a trailer. There's a lot going on in it. The Titans seem to have, I mean, I didn't ever get to like high level Titanfall, but like the Titans seem to be doing more stuff, and the dudes are doing more stuff. And
there also seems to be some new weaponry. Like the one dude throws a grenade and it like has like this anti-gravity thing.
It's a throwing star.
Yeah.
I saw when I was doing this. It's like a throwing star. There's like, I mean, there it is we're watching this while we're talking. Now, the one thing I don't know, and I don't know if they've talked about this yet, is creeps. The creeps don't seem to be here anymore.
They're gone.
Okay.
They're gone.
Do you know if the Titans still run on autopilot? Can you still make Titans on autopilot?
Yes. Yeah, that stays the same.
Okay.
The big thing is they took away the computer AI NPCs or whatever for multiplayer.
Okay.
And then we'll probably talk about it in a minute. But then they also
single player.
Yeah. Then they talked a little bit about what's going on in the single player.
But anyway, I mean, it just it reminds me that I really did like Titanfall when it came out.
I did too. We both, when we played that on Super Awesome Video Game Show, when we were playing the beta.
Oh, the beta?
We were both like, holy shit, this game is fucking awesome.
Yeah, and this just looks like, I mean, like, it looks like more Titanfall. Like, the biggest thing in this trailer seems to be ropes.
Yeah, the grappling hooks.
Yeah, which I'm almost like, they've got rocket boots. They can't just turn up the gain on the rocket boots a little bit, but...
Nah, man, you get the Spider-Man, motherfuckers.
Let's not talk about Spider-Man just yet. You're jumping the gun. Anyway, I think it looks really fantastic.
Yeah, it looks great.
I mean, I think that it looks like the thing. I feel like people have. I feel like Vince and like West and Zampella.
Yes. Yeah.
Have. I feel like they've been out in a weird place for a long time, right? Like they used to be drones over at Activision for Modern Warfare.
For Infinity Ward,
or Infinity Ward. And then when they left, like they made Titanfall, which really felt like half a game. Like I almost feel like whatever.
Well, I feel like the problem with Titanfall, and I think, and I feel like they've admitted this, is that they went in going, "What are we good at?" And they went, "Everyone fucking loves our multiplayer. We're good at multiplayer."
Yeah.
Okay. We want to do story because that tells you why people are fighting.
Right.
But we don't want to do a story mode because no one really likes the story, the single player campaign.
Oh, I imagine in Call of Duty, it's a huge time and money sink.
So they went, well, why don't we turn multiplayer and campaign into the same thing?
Right.
And so you're just getting the story beats while you're playing the campaign.
Yeah.
And I think they went, that is a fucking awesome idea because we're really good at multiplayer, and that's what they turned the game into. The game came out and everyone went, no, we want an offline single player.
Well, I feel like there was some of that. I also feel like that the multiplayer was okay, but I feel like it needed more.
Yeah.
Like you needed more reasons to keep playing the multiplayer. And it was real jumbled with the creeps and the mechs and everything. There was a lot of like AI interference in the multiplayer.
Though I like the creeps.
I do too. I mean, I like the fact that they put in a gun for noobs that just auto locks, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we talk a little bit about Mr. Zampella talks a little bit about what's going on, and then we are treated to the single player campaign trailer, which is
interesting.
It is interesting.
It's got talking mechs. Like the mechs apparently have the Titans apparently have their own AIs built into them.
Yeah,
and also their pilots are specifically tied to a Titan, and they're not allowed to change who the pilot is.
Yeah,
and that seems to be the plot of this, is that this one Titan's pilot died, so it took on a different pilot without approval.
Right. Yeah, because the Titan has a lot of personality in this trailer.
Yeah, well, there's actually a couple of Titans. Like, they actually show another Titan actually yelling shit.
Oh, really?
At people.
I didn't see that one. But I don't know. I mean, it looks as good. I mean, that's one of the things, I guess, is that Titanfall, even Titanfall 1, never looked bad.
Yeah.
It looks good. I like the mech designs. I've always liked the kind of weird spindly mechs that they have in Titanfall. I'm interested. I'm not... It's weird because I'm not super into this. Like I feel like some of the Call of Duty trailers were better than this, but there's some, I like kind of the idea of having a game that's like me and my buddy the mech, and they also look like they have a lot of potential for some really interesting set pieces going on.
Yeah,
here.
they also look like they have like other creatures.
Yeah, there's like
and
animals
stuff like that.
and smaller robots and stuff. I personally wonder whether or not how much of the game is going to be like, I wonder if they're going to let you get in the mech at any time, or if they're going to delineate it by like, well, this is a mission where you have to be on foot and the mech's going to be backing you up. Because in the multiplayer, you could be in the mech, you could be out of the mech. There's advantages to both. I also wonder whether it's going to be the sort of thing where, like, one of the things about Titanfall was that the mechs were like assembled on the fly, so they were like disposable, right? And I wonder, this doesn't seem like a disposable mech. Like, I wonder if he's going to get blown up, if you're going to be... I also wonder where the story takes place. Like, is it pre to Titanfall 1, or is it after Titanfall 1?
I don't know, but I will say I think that they are just going to, in all honesty, I think as far as the story mode is concerned, I think they're going to not...
They're just going to ignore Titanfall 1?
Well, I mean, they're going to ignore whatever story elements or at least, they're going to make, allude to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Because there's like a rebellion side, and then there was like a, like the Space Army side or something like that. I don't know.
And now it seems like there are robotic enemies and creatures and all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
Also, it's your mech sounds like Optimus Prime, so it's almost like your Optimus Prime's Power Master.
Oh, make it turn into a truck.
Yeah.
Make it turn into a truck in first person. But anyway, it looks good. Of most of the stuff that EA showed, this one may have been my most favorite, most interested.
I like, well, I mean, out of everything EA showed, I think, you're right. That was probably the best thing they showed.
Yep. All right, next up on the hit parade, we've got Madden 17. Football.
Are you ready for some football?
Okay, now you guys know, right? Everybody in the audience knows. John and I are not the sports ball guys.
No,
I don't.
Literally, all I know about football is that song from back in the day on the commercials.
Are you ready?
Whenever
for some football?
Are you ready for some football?
I mean, I got to be honest with you. I look at this and it looks good.
Yeah, it looks great.
The trailer for it looks good. But every year, Madden looks good. Like there hasn't been a year where Madden doesn't look really good. So I can't really tell you anything about these differences outside of that they took this particular opportunity to talk a lot about esports.
Yeah.
And about, like, they spent a lot of time talking about specifically Madden esports. Like, they do a little profile of these two guys that are really good at Madden. And apparently they're going to be having, like, competition. Like, they brought out like 10 guys on stage, and they were like, and here's the competitors for our esports Madden thing this time. Like, what was that one guy's name? Was like Slow-Mo or Soko or
I don't remember.
Robo or something like that. You remember it was like he came out in a cast.
I actually missed that part because I was driving home from your house.
Oh, okay, there you go.
After we recorded.
Well, anyway,
I'll probably see it when it pops up here in the video that you're also having us watch while we're talking.
I think that I'm going to.
I mean, I will say the one thing that actually interests me about Madden is that apparently this is going to be they've got two brand new commentators for the game that were not previously part of it, or at least that one of the things that they made is that they wanted to have so much like commentary from the football commentators, right, that there were at least 10 or 12 different sayings that could be done by each trigger. So it was like,
the in-game
the in-game commentary.
Okay.
Like so people, because one of the complaints with any game, whether it be wrestling, football, whatever, when you're playing the game, there's like, oh, someone caught a ball and the guy's, well, that guy's got a long arm, he's got a pass. Oh yeah, remember that time that such and such happened? Oh, I remember. Like
and then like you hear that like 50 times.
50 times.
Like,
so apparently I was watching something where they were saying that they went in and tried to do so much dialogue that is going to be almost impossible.
Okay.
Almost. I have a feeling there will still be that problem because I don't think we're ever going to get away from that problem as far as video games are concerned.
They did briefly talk about 3 different tiers of challenge that they want to have here in their esports thing. And the way that they divided them up was to Challenger, Premier, and EA Major. And Challenger is like peer-to-peer, person-to-person, just multiplayer. And Premier is like EA servers with rules, I guess. And then EA Major is like when they have a tournament with a prize or something, like an actual thing. So yeah. And then they had, and I'm okay. I've got to be honest with you. They brought these guys out. to talk to them. They did this little profile on these two. Serious Mo, that's his name. Sorry. I swear to God, they line these guys up on stage, and this one guy is talking to them. They're going to be doing the EA Champion Challenge, and Serious Mo. Okay, you can see in looking at this video, John, that Serious Mo has his arm is in a sling.
Yeah.
I swear to God, this is how this exchange went down. I was only half listening to it. I was watching 4 videos today when I was marking this up, right? But I swear to God, the guy asked him, he's like, so I noticed you're injured. How'd that happen? And Serious Mo's like, oh, I was chasing my friend. I had my shoes untied, and I tripped over my shoes, and I broke my collarbone. And he's like, oh, man, that sucks. Well, are your shoes tied now? And he's like, no. And I was like, E3, all right, video games. This guy tripped over his shoelaces and didn't even learn a lesson. It's in the game.
EA Sports is in the game.
So anyway, sorry to all of you football fans. I don't know jack shit. This was just literally, like, you can always tell. I'm glad that I run Rage Select because whenever we do, we always watch these things with the fan base live.
Oh, yeah, they're always great.
And when this happens, whenever EA starts bringing up sports, everybody's just like, oh, boo. Oh, boo, 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 sports, gross. Most of that was from me, to be honest. And then there's always one person in the chat who's like, hey, guys, I like sports. Can you take it easy? And everyone's like, no, boo, 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 sports, boo, boo.
It's cool that you like them, but boo.
Boo.
Yeah. I will say also watching it with the chat, it's always great because there are certain themes or things that happen every year that I would not have noticed otherwise. That would have I would have been completely oblivious to if it wasn't for everyone pointing out that one thing. This year being weather.
Yeah, a lot of weather. Keep your eye out. So anyway, next up, Aaron Flynn came out to lightly tickle our balls about Mass Effect Andromeda. And by that I mean there was very little about Mass Effect Andromeda.
Hey guys, remember that we just announced that we delayed the game?
Yeah.
Well, we're still not showing footage, so have...
Yeah, there's been a lot of... I was talking about somebody in the chat today who's like, I have a bad feeling about this if this game's supposed to be out in... What is it? What month is it?
March of next year.
9 months from now, and they don't have anything to show for it. But I don't know. I mean, my retort to that was like, I've read a lot of stories about companies getting derailed by having to stop production to polish up 10 minutes to put on the E3 stage.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
I would have liked at least a trailer or something.
They had a that montage.
Trailer didn't really show shit.
They had a montage. Anyway, he comes out, and this guy, Aaron Flynn, he spends like a good 5 minutes saying like imagination, adventure, the human
We're going
spirit.
to the farthest reaches of the universe.
Yep. I'll be honest, it's on Frostbite, which of course it is, because just about everything that EA puts out is, which is fine because I actually think that Frostbite has finally come around to being a really good looking engine.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Frostbite 1 and 2 were kind of like, meh.
Yeah, they were kind of meh.
But I feel like a lot of the Frostbite stuff, especially if I feel like Star Wars Battlefront, like it or not, was like the turning point for me where I was like, man, Frostbite looks good.
Yeah.
So they do, he just talks a lot. He talks an awful goddamn lot about adventure.
And we see space.
And then they have a trailer, and the trailer starts with like, I feel like I'm watching the titles to Star Trek Enterprise, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a long road. That one where they're showing all
with
the
Scott Bakula.
Yeah. But then we see the new ship.
The Tempest.
The Tempest, which looks kind of like the Normandy, except not like the Normandy.
It's a little bit more elongated and has a different title on it.
Yeah. It doesn't have Cerberus colors on it. That's cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
There's a lot of scenes here of kind of flying around, walking around on planets. I mean, I'll be honest that it's one of those situations where everything that they've shown looks really good.
Yeah.
It's just they haven't shown all that much. Like when I still frame on this, this is our main character shooting at like a rampaging beast in a sandstorm on like a desolate planet. It looks really, really good.
Great. I want to play that.
Yeah. There's a part here a little bit later where they show like a young, like a sorry kid.
Yeah.
And when they have, or that might be a lady or it might be a grown up, I can't tell. But face looks good, eyes look good, all the makeup.
She's got the Furiosa face paint on.
Oh yeah, they're all ladies. I forgot the Asari are all ladies.
Yeah, they're all ladies.
But it kind of
then, what I liked about that, she seemed really happy, and if you notice just out of the corner, it looks like a gun or something pops into frame, and she has this look of, oh shit.
Yeah. I am going to, though, take this as the first opportunity of this press conference to say, EA, if you don't have anything to show, don't show pictures of people working. I don't want to see...
That's EA's mantra. That's been their mantra for the last, 2 or 3 years.
We're going to come back to this with more swear words later, but, come on. I don't need to see somebody working. That's not what video games are about. They're about, if you would just squeeze this thing down, maybe. Put in a little bit more. Because, honestly, this is maybe the thing that's very frustrating about this particular segment. It seems like they have areas running on the Frostbite engine with weather, particle effects, with fully rendered people in them, characters, guns that shoot. You could have probably strung together a sizzle, a bigger sizzle trailer off of this, right?
Yeah. And that's what I was talking about earlier. It's I feel like I don't need a demo. I don't need them to give me a demo.
It'd be nice,
but I'm not expecting it.
Right.
Give me a fucking sizzle trailer or something. Don't give me this whole thing of we're working on this game. Here's us working on this game, and give me little clips of random shit in between of we're working on this game to make it the best game ever because we're working on it and we want it to be the best game ever. And more buzzwords.
It does seem like after when I think about it that the normal hype cycle for a video game,
they're
gonna have to get on that shit soon with this because most companies usually start hyping their shit 6 months out, right?
Yeah.
So you got 3 months, EA, to start hyping us for Andromeda, or it's gonna get pushed back to halfway through. But I think if it's coming out in Q4, that they're gonna have to get it out by March. So
I'm gonna bring up something else that we're not gonna talk about for a while, but I'm gonna bring it up.
Okay.
This is not coming out till March of next year.
That's the end of the quarter. That's the end of the fiscal year.
The new Zelda is not coming out till March of next year.
Yeah.
They showed a shit ton of that game.
Oh, well, that's true. But see,
and they couldn't show us anything.
Again, from what I'm seeing in these snippets, these don't seem like pre-rendered areas.
Yeah.
So if there's enough to show me this long shot of this person coming out of this house, it seems like you could have seen the inside of this domicile. You could have done some kind of fucking do a montage.
Yeah.
Take an 80s song, find a soulful cover of it, and then do 30 more seconds worth of footage and put that together, right?
God damn, all the 80s soulful covers. Not even 80s, just any song. Take any song and do a soulful cover of it.
Yeah. Anyway, from what I can see here, it looks real nice, the stuff that I've seen. There's some really cool different environments.
People in mocap suits.
Motion capture. I forget what the name of the thing is in Mass Effect 1.
There's a Mako.
The Mako. So it's like a Mako driving around. Great.
I am all for Mako.
As long as there's stuff to find and it's not just a big driving around forever. Looks like some kind of cinematic encounters. There's this one really brief section where you see Shepard not Shepard, but whoever the main character is, with what seems like a team of two, like you had from Mass Effect, a Krogan and somebody else in a power armor suit that I can't really tell what it looks like.
Yeah.
And there is one other thing here, John, that I feel like I can make a prediction about.
Okay.
There's a very brief moment where you see what looks like your character and a Krogan holding a guy over the side of a thing, and then the Krogan drops the guy off the side of the thing.
Yeah.
I assume this means that we're going to get some renegade options, that this is what happens when you hit the right mouse button. You're drop him. And then there's
oh, no. This is total Paragon.
Oh, man.
This is the Paragon option.
That was the Paragon option.
The other option you don't want to know.
Anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And then at the very end, there's this thing
looks like
looks like a Mass Effect gate, or
it kind of looks like a more modern looking mass relay.
Okay,
because if you remember at Mass Effect 3, the ending of it is all the Mass Effect relays were destroyed.
Blow them up.
So what I assume is that people had studied the mass relays enough that they figured out how to build them on their own, and that these are what they look like now.
And then I have a feeling that the plot may hinge around you have to go on deep space cryo missions to plot out new sections, and then you're going to stumble across something that's been happening out in the galaxy while you've been cut off, and blah, 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 blah.
It's a good theory.
Yeah, because at the very end, it looks like what looks like could be a version of the main character wakes up and is like, we made it, in an area that looks like it's got a bunch of people frozen or whatever. So anyway, looks good. Just show me more, EA. Show me some more. So I hope that you enjoyed that, because now it's time for Satan to talk about junk. Satan comes out and he says that they delivered 300. He comes out and makes a point of saying, last year we put out 300 updates to our games, and this year we're going to do double that. I'm like, is this a thing to be bragging about on the stage of E3?
Do you have to update your games?
Do you have to update your games all the time? I mean, I guess he's talking about updating it with new content.
Yeah,
you know.
I would assume. And you also got to probably guess that a lot of those updates are mobile games.
Oh, yeah,
that
probably.
are updated regularly,
several hundred times a minute.
Yeah.
He also talks about some stuff. EA Play is going to be, or EA Access and Origin Access are going to have some stuff this week that you can go. You can go get into the vault and play all the EA.
Yeah,
games
if you have
there.
if you have an Xbox Live, you can go in and get access to it, and if you're on PC, you can get access to it as well.
Yeah, and then he also goes into this play to give thing, which I'm not going to crap on too much. Where they got a bunch of events that are going on at the end of it. They're going to give $1 million to a bunch of different charities.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. All right, so let's kind of fast forward a little bit, because next up is FIFA. We go back to Peter Moore for FIFA 17.
As some would call real football.
Yes, it's funny that they talk about Madden football and then they talk about FIFA football. It's interesting, though, that no UFC, no Tiger Woods golf, is that?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is
Rory
now.
McIlroy.
What's that?
Rory McIlroy.
Okay. None of
Don't
the
ask
other...
why I know that, please.
Okay, I'm not
because
gonna.
I don't like golf.
I ain't gonna. None of the other sports made it in here. It was just Madden and FIFA. In fact, I seem to remember this conference being like a half hour longer last year, because they did sports for like 40 minutes straight last year. I kind of wish that they would have just done all the sports in a block. That way I could have, just gone sports. Anyway, FIFA, they talk a lot about it. I don't know that much about it. What I can tell you, what's kind of interesting, is this weird Alex Hunter thing where it's called FIFA 17 The Journey.
Oh, yeah. It's like total fictitious. They even apparently brought the actor out on stage.
Are you sure that he's not a real guy?
No, from what I've read, everything I've read said he's not a real guy.
Okay.
Like, he's just an actor.
Okay. Well, they bring this guy out, and he basically, he's really dramatic about everything he says, about how, have you ever felt the balls on your hands or feet or whatever?
Yeah, no, for everything I have read said that he is not a real person.
Okay.
And that he is totally an actor.
But basically, this is FIFA 17 story mode?
Yeah, they're doing a story, kind of like how NBA 2K whatever had that Spike Lee story mode.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of doing something similar to that.
Where it's like, but there's other people, and there's like his parents, and there's like, oh, kid, I'll sign you, and like, oh no, or I got fucked, or whatever. And so, I actually went to EA's website to try to figure out if this was included with FIFA 17, which I think it is.
Yeah, it should be.
And there they had a gif of like Mass Effect style answers at like a press conference after a match.
Yeah.
And it was like switching between different uniforms that he could be wearing depending on the different team. It's kind of an interesting concept. I mean, I don't know in a sports game if it's really the sort of thing. It kind of goes back to that multiplayer thing of like, there's some, I feel like Madden and FIFA are almost entirely, I don't know if any, like, has somebody been asking for this, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, because it seems like a lot of production value for something that could just end up being like, well, nobody actually.
It also gives them
story
excuse to release another version of the game when they may not have very many updates to the actual game.
Maybe
outside
so.
of graphics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it basically goes, well, we also added the story mode.
Yeah, maybe so. It's interesting. I'm kind of interested in it. I feel like one of the themes that I've seen this year is that there seems like there's a bunch of, well, I can think of two off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's more. Games that have people that are getting really close to the other side of the uncanny valley as far as just looking like that actor. This one was a little jarring because they showed the guy and then immediately switched to the Frostbite version of him, which wasn't great. Anyway, I'm not going to waste a lot more time on FIFA because we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Managers are in FIFA for some reason. That's a big thing. There's 4 of them. I don't know. And then at the end of this, they do this whole thing where they announce 3 of them, and this other feetsball guy comes out, and he's like, I'm a manager too. And that's kind of it. And then from there, they have a trailer for FIFA 17. And it's basically just a bunch of guys kicking feetsballs. I mean, again, I don't ever want to be the person who craps on the way that these games look, because they always look fantastic.
They look fantastic, and also everything I hear is that FIFA, the EA FIFA game is the game to get. If you are a football, or if you're in America, soccer fan.
Are there others? Are there others that we?
Well, I mean,
PES, I guess.
PES, but Konami canceled that completely.
You can call them Konami. That's fine. They don't make games anymore. They don't listen to this podcast.
At least not non-pachinko related games.
Hideo Kojima isn't part of them anymore. I don't care if you talk shit about them.
Oh God, we'll
get to that. We'll get to that
when we get there.
Anyway, it seems fine. I mean, like, it looks fine, and I don't have anything else to say about that. So let's quit faffing about, as it were. Next up, we got a guy who comes out, this real tall drink of water, to talk about EA Originals, which
wearing
is
a shirt says "We Are Gamers."
He seems so douchey. I went and actually looked this up and read about it. Seems like a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's basically just EA is going to give independent developers. I don't understand what EA is getting out of this, because they give the independent developers apparently like programming advice, marketing, advertising, and then in return the developers get all the profits. Or do the developers have to buy their way into this? Because it says on their page, like, oh, well, no. It said in the article that I was reading, all the profits. And I was like, well,
I don't know. But the other thing, okay, here's my problem with it. It's called EA Originals.
Right.
It's
not things that are originally came from EA.
But they're not things that EA are making, and apparently aren't things that EA owns the rights to. So how are they EA
I don't know.
Originals?
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, they're just publishing them and they get some percentage up front.
I would assume they get some percentage.
And that article that I read is lying. Anyway, this was all kind of a build up. I don't know that much about this, and unfortunately, I'm not really qualified to talk about it. But this is all a build up to bringing out who's this guy?
Another nervous developer.
They did exactly what they did. I feel like they almost headhunted this guy, because they were like, oh man, everybody loved Unravel last year, where that guy came out and he was super nervous and shaky and sweaty and brought Yarny out with him.
Let's get someone else like that.
Let's get somebody else who's timid and nervous and like, I want to make this game. The game's called Fee or Fair or something like that.
Fee. Like, well, it's weird because when the guy announced it, like, here to talk about his new game, you know, when he said it before the guy with the "We Are Gamer" shirt, the kind of pretentious
guy, yeah,
he was like, and here's Fear,
right?
And it was like, did he say Fear?
Yeah.
And then it was like, and then like the title came out, but it's just like FE, so it's Fe.
It's a horrible name. Unravel is a great name. Star Wars Battlefront, the Titanfall, that's a great. FIFA 17, Fe. Oh man, I can't wait to play Feh this Friday. You have to say it like that every time, like you're insulting somebody. Feh,
whatever.
Like it's a slur. You're like, oh man, that Feh, I can't Feh. Anyway, this is okay. So he talks for a long time, kind of like the Unravel guy did. I really hate it when devs do this, when they come out and they're just like, oh man, this is a game about how we all in nature, and like you want to sing to
and everything
forest.
Has its own song, and you have to learn the language of the music.
Right.
And
he needed to take a big fat hit off of some of Snoop Dogg's like Mad Dank.
Jesus Christ.
That he was straight up just smoking. We will get to that. We will get to what the fuck now.
Yeah, we need to.
Anyway, he comes out, he talks about this for a while. I have to be honest, this game looks boring to me. It's like a third-person game about a little crystal bear. It seems to be stealth-oriented. Yes, he's very cute. It's kind of like Ori and the Blind Forest. It seems like he's singing to the different animals of the crystal forest. There's these invaders called what are they called? The silent ones who come in. That, like, they show a thing where, like, the silent ones are near this big animal, and Fe, or whatever this thing's name is, like sings at it, and then the big animal attacks the silent ones, and like, oh, I tamed a bird and I'm gonna ride it, and it's not really doing much for me. It's just, unfortunately, at this point, the game industry has shoved so many indie games into my face. Like, I remember people in the chat on Rage Select were really interested in this game, and I felt like I see a game like this every 2 weeks on Steam. So it's just not like. Didn't make a huge impact on me.
It looks very interesting. Like, it looks very creative, and I look forward to not playing it when it comes out.
Exactly.
And by that, I don't mean like that I don't want to play it. It's It's Unraveled. I wanted to play Unraveled. I never played it.
Do you know what's going to be is you're going to come over here one day to record, and I'm going to be like, hey, we're going to record Indie Friday. And you're like, oh, what are we playing? I'll be like, you remember that game Feh? And you'll be like, oh, yeah. We'll play it for 30 minutes. I'll buy it. It'll be $20. I'll never play it again. I wish I could give my Steam games away to somebody else because this is not going to be, I don't feel like this is, who knows? It could be great. Could be fantastic, but I would never know. What I do know about things that are fantastic and things that are not fantastic is that Jade Raymond walked out, and she's pretty fantastic. Unfortunately, Ms. Raymond had nothing to say. Zero to say. We know there's a new Battlefront. We know Visceral is making a game with Amy Hennig. We know Respawn has access to another Star Wars IP. And she basically just said all that. Along with, oh, yeah, there's also that phone game that I played for 3 or 4 months and then got tired of. And thus, then she said, and now let's peek behind the curtain. And a million voices cried out in horror.
In unison.
And were suddenly silenced as EA, for the second fucking year in a row, pulled this dumb Star Wars desk developer bullshit. It was bad when they did it for Mass Effect. This is the second year they've done it for both, isn't it?
Yeah.
They did Deaths for Mass Effect last year, Deaths for Battlefront, and then this year they did Deaths for Mass Effect, and then Deaths for
all of Star Wars.
It was a montage. It's like 5 minutes long.
Yeah, no, it was great because I really love the guy who's working. The guy who's working on the Battlefront.
Yeah.
And he's like, we really want to make something completely unique and different than anything that's ever been made before. So we're glad to add our stamp to Battlefront. It's like you're making Battlefront. There's nothing unique about that. It's been done.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're just spewing bullshit to fill airtime.
I mean, like, okay, listen, folks. I know that we got this complaint last year. We get it every year. I'm sure this is going to come this year too. That it seems like we're being really hard on old EA here, and we are being a little bit hard on EA, but EA is not making it easy to go easy on them. They're doing a lot of buzzword talk. They're doing a lot of 10 minutes of somebody on stage talking. The thing about about E3 is that E3 is about video games, and EA is one of the biggest companies that makes video games out there. It shouldn't be hard for them to put on a stage show where they just throw a bunch of games in your face, or at least when they do throw games in your face, let me put it this way. I would not be nearly as hard on EA if the Mass Effect segment ended with a 3-minute Mass Effect trailer.
Yeah.
I would not be nearly as hard on EA if this segment didn't end with a montage that was 3 minutes long that had just tiny snippets of each one of those games that they're talking about.
Most of which had already been released.
Right.
Like, what was it? The Old Republic, the footage they showed was all stuff from like 2 years ago?
Oh, that was so weird because that was last year's trailer for the DLC about the twins. And then it's like they cut to twins like looking at the screen of it like, is this a DLC for like Zoolander? What is this? A DLC for twins? Like, but I like that's just the thing is that I feel like they didn't. This is the exact same thing I said last year. I feel like they didn't have a lot of things to show. They probably should have spent more time on Battlefront. If they'd have spent 10 minutes on, I know there's a single player campaign for Battlefront. I know there is. If they spend 10 minutes on the single-player campaign for Battlefront, show one of the missions, right? You've obviously got it done enough to let people play multiplayer. Show part of a mission or something. Show a little bit of footage for this, show a little bit of footage for that, and spend less time yapping and showing people at their desks with Cintiqs. I would have a lot more good things to say about EA. Yeah. But it just kind of felt like a waste.
Here's the problem, and here's my big complaint with it, is that I feel like I had my time wasted.
Yeah.
Watching the EA press conference.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have just not watched it.
Or read a synopsis and watched it.
Not even read a synopsis. Just saw the Titanfall 2 trailer and would have gotten everything I needed to know.
Yeah.
Literally, I felt like I had my time stolen from me, which I have not felt that way about any other press conference.
Oh.
Including last year's press conferences.
The PC press conference this year? blew this thing out of the water. Like, just in terms of, like, they showed a bunch of games. It's like, at least they learned from what they did wrong last year, whereas EA seems like they just doubled down on it.
Talking about the PC just for a quick second, at least between each segment, they showed a trailer for a game.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the trailer were only 30 seconds long. Sometimes they were a couple of minutes long.
Yeah.
But in between each segment, they said, oh, by the way, here's a game that's not out yet.
Yeah.
Or here's a game that just came out today.
Or a game you've never heard of before.
Or here's a game that came out last week, but we think it's worth noting about that you may, because we don't think you've heard of it.
Right.
You know, at least they showed me gameplay of stuff.
Yep.
Of footage of stuff, of trailer of stuff, and not people sitting in a fucking it probably speaking of which, and this is the thing that bothers me about this little montage thing, is that every Office thing has like something Star Wars digitally inserted into the scene.
Oh yeah,
like there's a Star Destroyer in the sky. There's
R2D2 and BB-8 are there. At your desk,
or there's an X-wing that flies by in the background, and you, unless you're paying attention, you won't notice it. It's like they had to spend more time doing that bullshit than they would have actually showing us something from a fucking game.
I think the point has been made. Let us move forward a little bit.
Okay, sorry. I'm just like I said.
Understand.
Again, my issue with this whole thing is that I feel like my time was wasted.
Yep. No,
and for E3, that is the worst thing you can do.
Absolutely. And all eyes are on. You want to put your best foot forward. Anyway, we're in the middle of looking at this, and I just had to stop for a second with this lady. How do you say her name?
Sigurlina Ingvar's
daughter. She sounds like a Dark Souls villain. Anyway, here's the trailer. I'm going to tell you right now, there wasn't much. Battlefront, the Bezpen, it's already out. Battlefront, they showed a little bit, I think, of the previous DLC. They show a few things.
Did I see someone playing as Bosk? Is Bosk one of the DLC characters?
I think Bosk got announced at some point.
Okay.
Maybe not. I don't remember.
Where's IG-88? That's all I got to ask.
Not in yet. No, I think Bosk was the bounty hunter that comes across from Lando, right? And then next time it's somebody else and somebody else. So the only two things that I feel like were of note here was at Respawn, they showed two guys in mocap suits lightsaber fighting.
Yeah.
That tells us that there's probably going to be lightsaber fighting of some sort in the Respawn game. Doesn't tell us anything else, but it does tell us that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they spent time to rotoscope those lightsabers and the particle effects of the lights and everything. So,
you don't know. They could have been real lightsabers. Could have been real lightsabers, John. And I can't believe that they're spending time with this mobile game. It's such a free to play time sink game. The only thing that and then they had the thing where they showed some of the DLC for Battlefront, and Amy Hennig came out, they showed a little bit of concept art for that Visceral game, and they showed like
5 seconds,
3 seconds worth of like and that's the only thing that I feel like is super worthwhile about the EA side of things. I jumped forward and I skipped over it. So guy in a black like duster, does he have an Imperial logo? No, that's just pixels. I can't tell.
And then it says early in-game footage, so it's probably like an alpha or something.
Yeah, walks out a door onto what looks like Tatooine, could be somewhere
looks like
else.
Just a desert planet,
could be
with giant Imperial
banners, and there's like a bunch of TIE fighters flying above. And he's just walking forward.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Because I'm blanking on The Force Awakens because it's been a while since I've watched it.
Yeah.
Is that the First Order logo and not the Imperial logo?
Okay. I am going to look this up so I don't look like a fool. Because I'm almost certain. Wait, hold on. I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure that it's old. I'm pretty sure that it's a Ridge Tridge. So
okay.
Order logo. The First Order logo is this.
Oh, okay.
And this is like
that's
the old
definitely
school
clearly Imperial.
Plus, they have different TIE fighters and different Star Destroyers.
Good point.
So this looks like it's taking place in the original trilogy. Also, there's a speeder bike back here.
Yeah,
right off of Endor.
Speeder bikes.
It looks like stuff from the original trilogy. I'm interested to find out what this is. I wish there was more than 2 seconds worth of footage.
Yeah.
That was kind of it for Star Wars. Unless you're interested in hearing people just yap. So. All right. Finally, they went to Battlefield 1, and they did this really weird thing where they showed like half the single-player trailer and then stopped, and they were like, and in 5 minutes, we're going to show you the entire trailer. And I'm just like, what?
And you'll get to see us stream a full hour of gameplay.
Why? Anyway, they talk, let's see, after they do this, they talk a little bit about the history of Battlefield. They have one of the, who's this guy's name? Patrick something?
I don't remember. Patrick something from DICE.
Oh, wait, there it was. Patrick Bach, general manager of DICE, comes out, talks a little bit about it. And then before they jump back to the actual trailers, they jump to the beginning of the Battlefield 1 strangeness.
Yeah.
This can only be described as the Battlefield 1. I don't understand.
Well, what's interesting to me here
Yeah.
is that, so well, we're going to talk about it here.
So they cut away, and this guy who looks a lot like the Angry Video Game Nerd.
It's not him. Yeah,
it's not. Is talking to Jamie Foxx and Zac Efron about how when the conference is done, they're going to show an hour of Battlefield 1.
And it's going to be this big multiplayer battle, like 64 player.
64 versus 64, I think, or something like that.
Battle between two groups, and celebrities are going to be on both teams.
I didn't get the point where they said celebrities were going to be on both teams because I don't recognize Zac Efron right off the bat, but I do recognize Jamie Foxx, and I'm just like, because the guy is kind of asking them like, so who's going to win? And it's like, oh, I'm going to win. And it's like, oh, really?
Well,
what do you have to say to that,
What
Zach?
was weird about it is that they were like, yeah, like they weren't like hyped or anything. They're just like there, and they're just like, yeah.
Okay, I have to say this right now. This is not... Every single celebrity that came to this thing seemed like they were super high. They all seemed like they were super fucking
Here's the
baked.
thing. They don't look that baked right now.
No.
But then when they come out later, they are totally fucking baked.
See, look at Zac Efron's face. He looks like, I mean, I don't know if they're just disinterested or if they're high. Like,
well, Snoop Dogg was there.
I'm almost like I'm thinking about this like they had a backstage and then Snoop Dogg came in and then everybody got
Snoop Dogg
high.
And Wiz Khalifa were both there, so I'm sure everyone was fucking baked all hell.
All right, so let's go back and talk before we finish this up about they talk about the weather. This is where they
my God, the dynamic weather.
Oh, the weather, it's going
to change everything. Like literally they said the weather in this game is going to change everything.
You're going to see rivulets of water running off your gun. And
it's going to change the way you move. It's going to change the way the environment reacts to you.
Yeah.
It's going to change the way your bullet's trajectory in the air or something. I don't know. It's like vehicles would fly, your planes will fly differently when there's rain and dust storms and hurricanes and thunder and whatever.
It just seems like it's mostly rain. I mean, it's Europe, right? So maybe snow at some point.
I would assume because
like
they have the Lawrence of Arabia stuff in it. There's
the,
probably a desert with the dust storm or whatever.
They also talk about the blimps, the big behemoths that are going to come out and then get shot down over and over again. We'll get to that too. Then they have the single player trailer, which I'm going to just skip to. Now, here's the thing, John. I have a feeling that I know after looking at this 3 times what the single player game is about.
Yeah,
I think it's about this tank crew.
Probably.
Because they have this tank, and there's a part where you see the logo, or you see the name, the Black Bess, on the side of it.
Yes.
And then this particular beginning part of the trailer is all like, get in here, button up, you're going to get us all killed. It's like these guys getting in this tank. I get the feeling that the single player is going to revolve around this company of people, and that part of it's going to be, at least part of it or a large part of it's going to be about them in this tank. Like maybe one of the first tanks, doing stuff in the late part of the war. The single player, again, is, DICE can make a good montage of planes flying and ship blowing up and
put to weird music.
Was this the
modern
Jay-Z
music
one?
Yeah, this was the Jay-Z.
They showed the bayonet charge, which is my favorite thing in all of this.
Yeah.
It looks like, I know that there were some people in the chat who were a little upset that there wasn't, like, when they actually go to the multiplayer, that there wasn't more, like, trench warfare.
Yeah.
But after listening back to the whole hardcore history thing, I'm like, trench warfare would be boring
as all fuck,
because you go over the top and then you die, or you get to the other side.
You sit there, you maybe pop up and shoot, and then you get back in the trenches. It's
like when they marched people to their death. They marched them to their deaths in the tens to hundreds of thousands. In just horrible conditions. Like, you don't want it's like an hour worth of dread and then 1 minute worth of combat, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Except on Christmas.
Yes, except, only the first year. They put a stop to that after that.
Wow.
So yeah, single player campaign looks good. I wish they'd let him talk a little bit more, or like get a little bit more story in this, because this is definitely all story stuff, right? At the end, they've got the horses, the kind of Lawrence of Arabia, and a train full of guns and shit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, World War One takes place over a bunch of different theaters, so I'm hoping that they take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's ditto.
All right, and then with that, they went ahead and wrapped it up. And then they went ahead and rolled on over to, and I don't actually have footage of this, the actual Battlefield 1 multiplayer match, but I remember it fairly well.
Stone Mountain!
Stone Mountain!
This plane flying over here, Stone Mountain! This building blowing up, Stone Mountain!
That was one of the people, by the way, folks.
Yeah, no, that was. So basically, the teams were headlined by two YouTubers.
You've scared my dog, who's come to find out about Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain 64? Or Stone Mountain 74 or something like that. And then the other one, I can't remember. It was kind of funny because, like, they basically did these promo videos where one guy basically was talking about how great his team was and how shit the other team was. And it was the most boring thing. They're like, get ready to watch, because my team consists of Major Nelson, Rooster Teeth, members of Rooster Teeth, and such, and this and that, and that other team is a bunch of losers. Kind of like, and not even like, even me doing it right there was 10 times better than how he did it in his video. And then the second video, the guy, it's very clear the guy was like, no, we need to make this fucking shit like hyperbolic as all hell. And so he's like, all right, we're gonna go fuck them people up. Look at all these puppies. You think Stone Mountain's cool? Stone Mountain sucks. Kind of. Okay,
I didn't actually see that particular part.
And then literally, it was just, and it was literally, it's like when you watch the game, you want to know who's on Stone Mountain's team. You just look at who's all there dying. You see this guy getting killed? That's Stone Mountain. You see this guy over there in this plane that blows up? That's also Stone Mountain. And like literally, that's what he's doing. And it's literally, I have to admit, it was actually funny as all hell.
So, well, we should back up. Okay, so that was first, and then they probably switched over to this whole like red carpet of celebrities.
Yes.
We already mentioned Wiz Khalifa, Snoop Dogg, Zac Efron, Jamie Foxx,
Terry Crews, who was the most hyped motherfucker to be there.
Yep.
He was probably the only one not high on anything as well.
Either that or just like, it wouldn't surprise me if like weed does nothing to Terry Crews.
Because he was out there. He's like, man, I'm excited. I love Battlefield. I'm going to play. Oh, what do you play on? Oh, I play on my PC. I'm PC Master Race. Like I'm going to mouse and keyboard that shit.
Oh, and Tyrese from
Tyrese.
He asks him, the angry video game nerd asks him, like, are you going to, he's like, what do you like to do? He's like, well, I like to drive a tank. He's like, oh, that's probably slower than the cars you've driven in your movies. It was like, every one of the people that passed by this motherfucker just didn't seem really interested, except for Terry Crews.
Yeah.
Everybody else. Who was the lady that was with Snoop Dogg?
I have no idea.
I don't know who she was. I don't know who some of these people are. But it was so weird because it's like half the team
what's funny is
was high celebrities and the other half was YouTubers.
Yeah. Well, it was actually what was funny to me is Terry Crews came out, he looked okay. The first two people who came out, they looked okay. Tyrese kind of looked okay. And then like Snoop Dogg came out and it was very clear that it's Snoop Dogg. There's nothing, it's Snoop Dogg. You just have to assume. He walks off. Wiz Khalifa comes out looking higher than a kite as well. And then Jamie Foxx and Zac Efron come out and they're coughing.
Oh yeah. I don't know if that was just an act or what.
And it's very clear that they are also high as all fuck. Like both of them are like Zac Efron looks like he just took a bath in cocaine.
Yeah, they both are just like grinning like lunatics and sweating off it.
Like Zac Efron is sweating like a madman.
His hair looked fine before, and now it's like and his jacket is like white from the top down, like he's literally like he's that spider on the internet, like bundling down.
Well, it looks like he just jumped into a pile of cocaine and came out. I was like, I'm ready to go.
I want to go to Zac Efron's cocaine pile,
and then
here's the YouTube people all just following them in. Like, well, I guess we get to go in now. Anyway, at that point, they played about an hour of Battlefield 1, and we've got about 10 minutes left in this sequence before we're going to take a break. It looked very Battlefield.
Yeah, it looked great. If I had one complaint, it was when airplanes crashed on the ground.
Oh, nothing happened.
Like
they kind of busted
it's
up.
just well, no, it didn't even bust up. It's just the plane disappeared.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Like it just disappeared from the map.
I'm sure that's early. The big thing that I noticed was that instead of having, I wonder if this is going to be different on every map, but instead of having like the Battlefield 4 like destruction events, at one point one side can call in the blimp on this particular map.
Yeah. Well, they stated that if a team is losing badly enough, they have the ability to bring in a blimp to try to even the odds, and it's kind of like a last ditch effort to even those odds,
which is it's a giant target, but it can shoot down towards the ground. Like, it never seemed to make any difference, and then when it's destroyed, it falls down, and if it falls on like buildings, it destroys the buildings.
Yeah, it actually leaves wreckage, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it stays on. The carcass is still there.
Like, there's a part of me that's like, man, if I didn't know, like, I was gonna hate this game, like hate playing battle, or not hate, but if I didn't know I don't like playing online shooters,
right?
I would totally want to play this game.
You know, it seems like this particular map. I mean, I like the environmental destruction that we're seeing. I mean, it like really hooks up with the tanks and the armored cars and stuff.
Looks great.
I like the spawning. It seems like a real weirdly compact map. Like, everything seems to kind of be happening in the same places. This little town. It seems interesting.
And then they showed clips of Snoop Dogg clearly smoking a blunt in front of the camera for a good solid 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't even try to hide it. No one tried to talk to it. He's just right there in front of the camera, indoors, smoking a blunt.
Yeah, there he is.
And everyone's like, he's just walking in front of a wall back and forth, staring at the wall.
I didn't even notice that. Like, he can't even get anywhere.
Yeah,
he's like got an Xbox controller. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
And it even looks like he doesn't know what's going on because he's just looking at a wall. And even the commentators are like, he's just walking up against a wall.
Back and forward, and like, it's like he doesn't even know.
And then like the guy next to him tries to give him a tip or something, tries to tell him something.
Oh, wow. Wait, I just realized something, John. There was a camera. Like when Snoop Dogg was doing his thing, there's totally a camera that's pointed directly at him that I don't think they ever cut to. Probably because it would have just straight up showed him smoking.
Yeah, but it's just like,
God damn
it. But it's just like he's just smoking right there in front of the camera.
Yeah, I'm sure that if like
Now, mind you, weed for medical purposes is legal in California. They are in California.
Sure.
I'm sure he has a prescription.
Oh, sure.
I'm sure he also has a prescription to share that shit with everybody.
I feel like it's just the thing where EA is like, you know who we should have this Battlefield thing? He was, you remember when didn't he do like the commentary overlays for Call of Duty at one point?
He
like
might have. I know he had his own level in one of the Dead or Alive games.
Oh, okay.
Or no, Tekken. One of the Tekken games. He had his own Snoop Dogg level because I remember that because I went to the GameStop Expo when it was in Texas, and they had this thing where you could take a picture and you could choose like the level from the Tekken game that you wanted to be. You would take, and they would you're in front of a green screen. They would insert you into that level.
Right.
So I totally did the Snoop Dogg one, and I had this look on my face like, what the fuck is going on?
But I'm sure that EA calls up Snoop Dogg and they're like, hey man, you want to come down and play some Battlefield? And he's like, can I smoke? And they're like, well, we don't normally. And then he's like, I'll come if I can smoke. If I can't smoke, then no. But
I got a medical condition.
That's right.
I got a prescription. I need to be able to smoke at all times.
So I don't know. I kind of hope that there's maps that are a little bit more even within this, when we're looking over this map, the area that they're fighting in is very green. It's like a city that hasn't been destroyed yet.
Yeah.
And then over to one side, there's like an area that looks more like the trench wasteland. I kind of hope that there's at least a few maps that are more in that trench wasteland where they at least try to do something that looks like trench warfare.
I think there'll be definitely be different types of maps. I think you're going to see some that are going to be on deserts. I think you're going to see some that are going to be in more of a like a kind of a mountain-ish area.
Well, we've seen that where the planes are driving, where it's like a much more tiered level.
Yeah. And what I love is they cut to Terry Crews.
Terry Crews is rolling.
He's just rolling. He's got his hand on the keyboard.
He's very excited. He's super excited. I want to play games with Terry Crews. Back to Snoop Dogg. Like standing still. Actually, he's in a tank now. The tank stuff seems kind of interesting. There's this weird German car that's just like a big metal drape over an armored car. Anyway, I don't know. It seems like it could be cool.
By the way, do you want to know which team won?
Snoop Dogg's team?
It was Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain. They may do terrible promos, but they kick some ass.
I'll say one thing.
Match.
I don't watch much Battlefield, but watching these guys play, I'm like, oh, this is Battlefield at a level that I'm not anywhere near comfortable with. Like, these people are really good at Battlefield, play a lot of Battlefield. I'm just like, I'll go back to Overwatch. I think that's probably better for me.
Overwatch is awesome.
Anyway, well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up because we gotta take a quick break so I can smoke a shitload of weed with Terry Crews. Or I wish. So that was the EA conference. I'm not gonna say. I think that
I actually do think that the Battlefield 1 thing that they did, the showing the multiplayer. I think that was smart. I think
absolutely.
that was
best
a
part of the
brilliant
conference.
move. I think putting it at the end was great. Like I said, I think the two best things about the EA press conference thing were the Titanfall trailer, Titanfall 2 trailer, and then this. Yeah. Because this part, I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I feel like I got a lot of information about the game.
Yep.
It actually made me want to play the game.
Yep.
And it did everything that I would want them to do.
Yeah. No, I agree. This actually made me excited about playing Battlefield. I wish they had more than one map because they played 3 rounds on the same map, but it looks chaotic and hectic and crazy and real Battlefield. So, also the greatest thing, this entire game, all Rage Select people must make the pledge immediately. If you play Battlefield 1, you will never in multiplayer do anything except for the dashing bayonet charge.
Oh yeah, I like at the very end when they're talking about the winner and loser, like they went to the loser guy and they were like, so if you had any advice, he goes, okay, you know what my favorite new thing is the dashing bayonet. And he goes, oh yeah, and he goes, did you use that a lot? And he goes, yeah, I used it to run away because it was really fast. And the other guy goes, oh shit, that's actually really smart. Like, he's like, yeah, if you need to get the fuck out of there, you do the bayonet charge to get away.
Well, it's weird because just because of the effects that they put on it when they're rushing forward, it looks like the guy's got rocket boots on.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, so let's wrap it up. Battlefield 1 looks good. Titanfall 2 looks good. The rest of it, I mean, I don't care about sports, and I really wish that EA would start showing more footage. I hope Mass Effect Andromeda doesn't get pushed back.
Show don't tell.
Yep. So, hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Bethesda, the other E3 day -1 conference. So stick around.
Protocol 3.
BT!
Protect the pilot.
And we're back. And we're back to E3 day -1. And we're here to talk about Bethesda.
I'm going to be honest. I have absolutely nothing strange or weird to yell out for this press conference.
Oh, yeah?
Like the last one.
I'll give you something. Right off the bat. But anyway, this is interesting. I'm going to say, just briefly before we start, last year Bethesda just murdered it with the Fallout 4 announcement for 30 minutes with their first one.
Yeah.
This year, they didn't really have as many big shit surprises. They have one at the very beginning that we'll talk about, but they just, I felt like it was a good conference. It was definitely better than the EA conference.
Oh yeah, no. Bethesda actually did a pretty solid conference.
Yep. Now, before we actually get into the conference proper, I have a bone of contention. I have a bone to pick.
Oh no.
So, in the lead up to the Ubisoft press conference, they were doing their pre-show shenanigans where they were basically going over every single thing that they talked about
last year.
And Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb were hosting it. And I don't know if this was the Ubisoft thing or what, but I don't know if you saw this, John. If you were in the chat, I'm sure you did.
I was.
So the two of them are sitting there, and between the two of them, you could see the audience. And right dead center between them is this tan douchebag and his super hot girlfriend. And every time they cut away, this motherfucker changed shirts.
Yes.
And I don't know why, but it was they were mugging at the camera the entire time. And I was just like, what are you...
His buddy sitting next to him kept taking selfies and was actually looks like he was streaming stuff through Snapchat or whatever, or FaceTime.
It was really irritating. I'm like, fucking be a grown up. I don't need you to change it. You think you're Deacon from fucking... Actually, it would have been cool if he was changing... Do you know Deacon in Fallout 4? There's a character in Fallout 4 that's a member of the Underground. And he constantly changes his outfit. If that guy had been changing into different outfits that Deacon wears, that would have been pretty cool. But he was just putting on different shirts that said stupid shit.
Yeah.
Nothing even good.
The last one he put up just said WTF.
Yeah, it was dumb. And it was dumb and it was distracting, and I don't know if they were supposed to be funny, but it was about as funny as you remember last year when Aisha Tyler went to go talk to the cosplay guy out in the fucking audience. It was like, I was just like, this is unnecessary. Get those motherfuckers. Somebody go tase them. I want a security guard to walk up to those two and fucking tase the shit out of them. Anyway, from there, the conference itself started, and they started with a kind of an interesting thing. They actually started with a big reveal.
Yeah.
Where they had a DOS directory, and they switch over to the Bethesda E3, BE3, and then they type in Quake. So,
Oh shit!
Yep.
Quake.
Yep. Bethesda has put out a did they publish the Wolfenstein game? They published Wolfenstein,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They've got
yeah,
this IP. And I was like, I don't know. And then it was great. And then last year they were like Doom, and I was like, I don't know. And it was great. And this year, when I watched this Quake trailer, at first I was like, well, I don't know. And then my brain was like, hey, dum-dum, every time you say that, you fucking love whatever game they put out. So shut your dumb mouth.
I will say, it's called Quake Champions.
Yes.
Which apparently it's there's classes and each character is individual, and you know what, when they actually described it, like one of the people that was interviewing them, I forget who it was in the video that I saw, when they described it, so it's like Overwatch.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, no, because we're Quake. It's like Quake. And but it has like special characters that you could choose from that like Overwatch.
Now I can't tell,
which is funny because if you actually watch like any of those making of videos that GameSpot did for Overwatch,
yeah,
one of the inspirations was Quake and Quake and Doom and Counter-Strike and like all
the multiplayer
all
games.
Of those 90s multiplayer games were the inspiration that became Overwatch.
Right. Well, this trailer, this is full CGI, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to tell.
This
can't be in-game engine.
No, it's
not.
not.
I don't know. I mean, like that Doom looks really good.
Yeah, Doom does look really good.
But anyway, so the trailer is interesting, mostly because it has the original Quake guy fully rendered with the same like helmet and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they actually have a guy from, I believe it's Quake 3.
Yeah.
With the fucking
one of the
T
multiplayer
on his face. Yeah. And then a couple of new characters. So apparently, the contention here is it's going to be a multiplayer shooter, and each one of the characters is going to have their very own powers, just kind of like Overwatch. And I don't know. Again, my first instinct is to go like, well, I don't really play multiplayer games and fucking whatever. But they're 2 for 2 on resurrecting these old properties.
Yeah.
So
I'm willing to give it a chance. When I bring up the fact that when I make the comparisons to Overwatch, I don't mean that as an insult or anything like that. I'm just saying it was just one of the things I thought was really hilarious because of the fact that the guy went, "Oh, you mean like Overwatch?" And then the guy, the interviewer was like, "No, I mean more like Quake." And kind of like very like, "Fuck you, we were first."
So yeah, there's this one trailer. It's pretty good. I mean, it's always hard to tell from a full CGI trailer.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, I don't know what the game's going to look like. Could look totally different. I like the fact that Quake Guy is in it. I think it could be interesting. They did talk about after they were done. They talk about like a few things. They talk about 120 hertz unlocked frame rate. Like they wanted to make it like super fast on the PC.
And that's actually the thing that a lot of people, I don't think they ever said, is this coming to consoles or is it just going to be PC?
It's hard to say. I've been willing to bet at this point that, I mean, Bethesda hasn't put out a game that's been PC only for a while, right? I mean, Fallout 3, Skyrim, all those were on there. Doom, Wolfenstein, all those were on consoles. So I've been willing to bet that it's going to be on consoles, but that the PC, they're probably going to be focusing on the PC multiplayer crowd.
Okay.
They did say that they said this a couple times, but they said they're going to go ahead and talk more about it at QuakeCon.
Of course, which is where they should talk about it.
In August, yeah. So, and this was with Tim Willits came out and talked about this. It's what it is. It seems cool. There's not really a whole hell of a lot to say. It's one of the problems that you have with when you describe a game that is a general, like it'd be like if you came out, you showed a CGI trailer, and like, yeah, this is a third-person action game. We've got all these great weapons. We've got all these things. You can't really infer that much from that because he can't just tell me the individual flavor of Quake that's going to make me super excited for it, right? Last year, I feel like they did a better job when they showed Doom, because last year was the first time that we saw Doom, right?
Officially. I mean, they showed Doom at QuakeCon prior to
like
E3.
a year or two ago.
Yeah, well, the year prior to E3 or whatever.
Okay.
But they didn't allow cameras or anything in the room that they showed it in. So the only way you could see that footage is if you saw I think
there was like a one trailer before. Anyway, whatever. The Doom trailer was really impressive. This Quake one being pre-rendered, or maybe not, but it seems like it's got to be pre-rendered. Seems like less so. From there, after he got done, Pete Hines came out and basically jawed for a little while about last year's E3 and all the different
about Fallout
things.
Shelter, talked a little bit about Fallout 4.
Yeah. And then he got into Elder Scrolls Legends.
Strategy card game.
I don't want to just sit here and say Hearthstone a whole bunch of times because Hearthstone didn't invent card games.
Yeah, it was Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, there were CCGs before that, but man, this is a lot of like the way the cards go up and hit the other side,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's differences in the actual nitty-gritty like card things, but even when you look at it, it just looks an awful lot.
Well, this game has
like,
2 lanes.
Great.
Instead of 1, there's 2.
Gwent has like 4 or 3 lanes, I think.
There was an Assassin's Creed card game that actually had 3 lanes.
Oh, great. Anyway, they do this single-player trailer, which is basically a bunch of kind of like these painted characters with like kind of effects over them, and they're talking a lot. You know what? This trailer and a lot of Elder Scrolls Online and other stuff made me understand. I don't know shit about the Elder Scrolls universe. I know about Skyrim a little bit because I paid a little bit of attention, but I don't know anything about Tamriel or well, Tamriel's the world in general, but I don't know anything about Morrowind or any of the other places.
I really felt like I was watching Max Payne Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
the way this trailer is done.
It's real dark. They're talking about all kinds of stuff.
And there's an owl that's talking.
Is the owl talking?
That's what it came off like. And then the stream died.
Oh yeah, the stream died for a few minutes. Then when it came back, I mean, it seems like, I'm like, again, I don't want to poop all over this. It's just that I don't know. I mean, maybe it's going to be good. It'll be way better. I guess, the thing that I guess I feel a little bit, okay, here's the bad feeling. It's taken me a little while to process this that I get off of this, right?
Okay.
Elder Scrolls Online seems like it's riding World of Warcraft's coattails.
Okay.
Quake, when you say Overwatch, and now we've got a game that looks an awful lot like Hearthstone. I guess I'm just waiting for next year when we see our Fallout MOBA. It'll be a MOBA that has characters from Fallout and from
Elder
Skyrim.
Scrolls and
from Elder Scrolls,
Dishonored,
Doom,
and Wolfenstein, and
it's
Quake,
called Burning Heroes of Mayhem, and it's darker. I guess that's just what it is. Is that this? Even Hearthstone doesn't get me going anymore, and this just seems like Hearthstone. So it's not, and I'm sure there are people out there who are big fans of this who could tell me. I mean, when we're in the chat, and this is skipping ahead a little bit, and they talked about Gwent at what was it, Microsoft?
Microsoft, yeah.
There were people in the chat who were just like, "Fucking, I love Gwent. I played the shit out of that." I'm like, I'm sure. I played the shit out of that card game in Final Fantasy 8 or 11 or somewhere. There was a card game. I played the shit out of that card game. Sometimes you get into these card games and they're fucking great.
Here's the thing,
Sabak in fucking KOTOR. Oh man, I just took everybody's cash in KOTOR.
I will probably play this game because, like I said, I actually like card games. I like card games and video games, and I actually am willing to give this a try once it actually gets fully released.
Yeah. So
I don't care about it while it's in beta.
There's more beta invites out there. It's coming. They said that they're bringing it to iOS and Android, which of course they are. They'd be fools not to. And that was kind of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell people right now that apparently I just don't know that much about Elder Scrolls to get excited about it, because this is going to happen again when we get to ESO. But before we get to ESO, Duder, I can't never remember his name. The guy that did the entire Fallout 4 announcement last year comes out.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
I'm blanking on his name as well.
Comes out to basically talk about the second set of Fallout 4 DLCs.
Yes.
Okay, these don't look like bad DLCs.
They're just not what you wanted.
It's just that it's hard for me not to compare the DLC for Fallout 4 to the DLC from Fallout 3, and I don't feel like that's unfair.
Yeah.
They're both games, VATS, Wasteland, all these things.
Same company.
Fallout 3 DLC seemed like there was a lot more of it, and it was a lot more in-depth.
I do feel like part of it is because they seem to are focusing on one mechanic.
And it's a mechanic that I feel like they should know that not everybody's way into, which is the base building the settlement mechanic.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. Basically, it's almost exactly like the layout for the first set of DLC.
Yeah.
So there's 3 of them. The first one is called Contraptions, and it's going to be out very soon, I believe.
Yeah.
And basically, it's adding in
Armor.
elevators, armor racks is what that is.
Yeah.
Weapon
Gun
racks. Like you could marble drop.
You can basically make, machines and
conveyor belts, and
Rube Goldberg devices,
sorting for sorting all of your things. It kind of it's out. It's out. It'll be out next week.
Yeah.
So this to me feels a lot like the Wasteland Workshop, which was just $5, no quests associated, nothing.
Yeah.
Which, not to compare this directly to Fallout 3, but when they did the big crafting settlement upgrade for Skyrim, it had like a series of quests associated with it. Whereas when I did Wasteland Workshop, it was just like, here's all the stuff. It's just in your inventory from the word go for it. So that's Contraptions. Next up was Vault Tech.
Which, that was actually, this one is interesting.
It's a little interesting, yeah. Where basically it looks like this one is more like The Mechanist, where there is going to be a quest. I was actually watching an interview.
Yeah.
There's going to be a quest where you find like an abandoned vault and you have to like clear it out, and there's going to be enemies and stuff in there, and there's going to be a whole new set of vault things, so you can basically build your own vault, put your own vault dwellers in it. And then the most interesting part is this last little thing that says experiment on dwellers, which, considering all of the vaults were big like social experiments, I'm interested to know how far you can go. Can you?
Well, what's funny is there was one point where it kind of shows the side, like it actually shows a side view of the vault, almost like it's a fully rendered Fallout shelter.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. I wonder how that even works.
Where it's basically like, no. Now you're just playing Fallout Shelter, but in
Fallout 4.
In Fallout 4.
I mean, the thing is that there's a lot of opportunity for them to add in Radiant quest lines and stuff like that to come out of this. There's a lot of this one is actually very interesting to me, but I bet it's going to be a lot like The Mechanist, where you're adding in one new set of crafting items and then a quest associated with it, where you're going to have to probably take this vault over from raiders, clear it out of monsters, and then repel more attacks to it or whatever.
Yeah. Basically, Fallout Shelter.
Yeah. That's coming out next month in July. And I bet that it's going to be $10 to $15 if they're following the pricing structure that they did with the last one.
Yeah.
Lastly, this one is probably the one that's going to be most like Far Harbor, where there's a big new area. This is Nuka World, where basically before the apocalypse, there was a giant Nuka-Cola theme park that has been overrun by raiders and is now this giant, it's Nuka World. And I bet there's going to be a whole series of quests associated with it. It looks like a pretty big area. It doesn't look as big as Far Harbor. Who knows if there's an area around it, but the camera kind of pans up over it, and you can see that it looks like there's a bunch of different things going on in there. So I don't know.
It's a theme park.
Yeah, and this is in August. Good on you, Bethesda, for doing more DLC. I kind of wish that there was more to. Was it in Fallout 4? Or was it in 3? There was one of them where one of the vaults, they had a thing where they put a bunch of drug addicts in, and the whole thing was that there was one overseer that had the thing basically that they were trying out this new way to detox people, and so they would meet and they would all talk about and they were all found Jesus or whatever. And then at one point, the vault was triggered to basically open up this supply closet that had been locked for years that was just full of drugs.
Yeah.
I think
it was 4.
And then everybody went nuts and killed each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that's what's up with Fallout 4. Nothing really else. There's one other thing that we'll get to. Fallout Shelter is getting it's getting a big update.
Yeah, where you can actually go questing.
Yeah, side quests, new locations, new enemies.
There's actually combat. They've redone the combat entirely.
Yep. New combat system, new characters, and it's coming to the PC. You're gonna be able to play it on your PC if you want to. I'm wondering if that's gonna be in a browser or if it's gonna be like a Steam app or something.
I think it's gonna be a Steam app.
And that's coming in next month as well.
Yeah, in July.
I never played Fallout Shelter all that much, so this doesn't really mean a hell of a lot to me. But I don't know, if it's on my PC, I might play it.
Yeah,
low impact. So that was all the Fallout that we got, pretty much. Next, was something that I didn't really expect to get as excited about this particular announcement as I did. This is Skyrim Remastered.
Yes.
Which people have already known about, or there's been buzz about, or rumors. It looks real fancy.
Yeah, it looks good.
They've gone through and they've redone the textures. They've redone. They're putting the mod support into it, like they have in Fallout 4. They've got a bunch of new art, like lighting and texture shaders and water particle effects, and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah,
looks real good. Now I know that when we say that, there's a bunch of PC Master Race people who are going to be like, well, it's looked like this on the PC for years, and I have a PC that could probably run it. Maybe, but I've heard that some of those like upgraded texture packs, I've never tried them, but I've heard that they require a hell of a PC to run, and it's nice to kind of have them all in one place. So this kind of makes me excited about going back and playing Skyrim all over again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Elder Scroll games. That's just me, though. But I think what was more disappointing to me is there was an interview after this press conference in which someone asked him, was like, so you did Skyrim, re-release, special edition, HD remastered. When are we going to get the next Skyrim game? And he looked at him and goes, "Oh, we're like many years away from talking about another Skyrim game."
Oh yeah. Next Elder Scrolls will be a while away.
Yeah, or another Elder Scrolls game. Yeah, he's like we're like many years, and like one website was like, "Yep, not coming out till 2022."
I'd say more like 2 years, maybe 3, maybe announce in 2, put it out in 3, because they're still working Fallout 4. Like they're still working. And those games are, they're big, man. They're fucking full of shit.
I get that, and it's just like for me, it's like I don't really like the Elder Scrolls games.
Yeah.
Because they're just not for me, and also I have an issue with the way Bethesda makes their games. Just the way they play.
Yeah.
But I would rather see a new game and not an HD. Again, it's this generation really feels like it goes back to this generation feels like the remastered.
Sure.
Like it feels like every other game that comes out is just the remaster of a game I already got on the Xbox 360 or the PS3.
Sure.
And while that's great, I don't want to play those games again.
Yeah.
I want to play new games.
Yeah.
Give me a new fucking game.
No, I gotcha. They did say, though, one nice thing that they did say was that if you own the PC version of Skyrim with all the DLC, you get this for free.
Oh, okay.
They're basically just they're gonna gift it to you on Steam.
Yeah, that's good.
Get it for free. I'm kind of wondering what they're going to look for as far as price tag on the PS4, the Xbox One goes. If they're going to want a full 60, if they're going to go down to 40.
I would actually say it'd be worth it if they did it for $30, $29.99, like $29.99. That would anything higher than that to me. Again, I'm not a fan of Elder Scrolls, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Right.
But anything higher than $29.99 is you can go fuck yourself.
Let me go look on Amazon real fast, and I mean, like I doubt it, but let's see. Skyrim, was it just called Skyrim Remastered?
No, it's called Skyrim Special Edition. Yeah,
there it is. So let's see if Amazon has a price for this. They're going 50 or 60. So I bet it's 60. All right. Well, that's a little bit of a shame. Next up, Rafael Colantonio from Arcane Studios came out, and I fully expected him to just start talking immediately about Dishonored, but no.
He talked about something else.
Something that's not Dishonored. Oh, man, this one kind of came out of the blue.
Yeah, it did.
I think that there was a lot of folks in the chat room before we started who were like, I bet they're bringing back Prey 2. I've heard they're bringing back Prey 2. Prey 2. Well, they're not. They're bringing back Prey 1?
No, it's a complete... And they actually talked about this after the thing. It has no connection to the previous Prey games. It is a complete... We're taking the name only and doing our own thing with it.
But why take the name? That's
because they own the rights.
I guess,
and they're not doing anything with the franchise.
So we'll come back to that in just a minute. I do like the fact this guy is wearing a shirt that has a sneak button on it. So the trailer for this is pretty cool.
I actually really like the trailer for this.
This guy,
Good morning, Morgan.
Morgan Yu wakes up and he's got an appointment, and it looks like he's got like a future city out the window. He gets a cup of coffee. He looks into the mirror, and his eye's a little bit red. He puts on like a spacesuit, like an old Russian-looking spacesuit.
Well, what also I thought was interesting was that everyone in the chat was like, "Oh my God, they took the Native American Prey character and whitewashed him." It's like his last name is Yu. He's not.
Asian, well,
I mean, he's at the very least of, Asian descent.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not whitewashing. He's still a minority.
I don't know. See, part of me feels like it's one of those things where Prey is like one of the only games that I can talk about that has a Native American main
I agree.
character.
Well, outside of like, Turok, but that's something different.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would have been nice, especially when you're doing this from the ground up, to just be like, why not?
I agree.
Why not just name this guy Tommy, whatever his name is, and make him a 30-year-old physicist? And he doesn't have to be this disaffected young guy. He could just be a little bit older.
Kind of looks like a weird, kind of a Morgan Freeman, not Morgan Freeman. Gordon Freeman, style character.
Yeah, a little bit
with the spacesuit thing.
Yeah. So anyway, in the trailer, he looks in the mirror twice. Like, we Groundhog Day it over again.
Yeah, well, we do it 3 times. The first time he looks in the mirror and he looks kind of okay. The second time his eyes are kind of bloodshot. The third time his eye is full all pink eye.
Yeah.
He's the South Park zombie pink eye.
Yeah, and then after that it switches and it's like these shadowy figures saying like.
Well, it's like if you also look, the last time he does it, like the world is fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Like the robot is like morning, Morgan.
Oh yeah.
And then like the coffee that he gets out of the coffee machine looks disgusting.
Does it?
Well, I mean it like the mug is all burned up and
that mug, like yesterday's mug or something.
Yeah,
like
it's just like there's little things that look off.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And then it goes into kind of goes into this action montage of like, it looks like the like, it's funny because this one, where you see these figures and they're like, there's like, good morning, Morgan, we have some tests to run. Very much seems very Portal to me.
Yeah.
It's like this white room. We're doing tests. There's actually a thing where they were talking about afterwards when they're talking to the developer guy, where he's like, this guy Morgan is the key subject in an experiment to change humanity, but the station where they're doing these tests gets overrun by crazy aliens. And we see that as it goes on, as it becomes more of a like action kind of trailer with shotguns and stuff against these weird smoke monster things.
I'm feeling that there's also going to be kind of a thing of like what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Because I think with the whole Groundhog Day thing, I feel like there's a little bit of he's kind of starting to lose it, like in his head.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's also this, because there's also this last part where he's walking towards a mirror and then he's standing still and his reflection starts moving and talking to him.
Right. His reflection says like,
good morning, Morgan.
Yeah, you're not going to like this.
You're not going to like what I have to say.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wonder if your character is losing his mind, and then also there's this alien invasion going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems kind of interesting to me.
Sure.
Like this entire trailer looks interesting to me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I like the idea of you can't necessarily trust what you see. There's one point in the trailer where you see him like putting like something for his eye, like up to his eye.
Yeah.
It seems interesting if there's like kind of like an infection meter or something where maybe he's got some alien thing that's making him paranoid. I don't know. I mean, let me be very clear about this. This trailer looks amazing. I'm really interested in playing this game.
Me too.
I'm just still a little bit baffled at why you would name it Prey, especially because Prey 1 was a thing, a full-on thing, and Prey 2 is still like out there somewhere. That was kind of half a thing that people know about. So it just seems weird to me that you wouldn't just call this Iris or Black Smoke or whatever, that you would call it Prey. I mean, I understand that like Prey is about aliens taking people and doing stuff to them, and that may be a core of what's going on here. It just still doesn't really seem to me, and it may just be because I follow the development of the original Prey.
Yeah.
That I know, and I follow the development on Prey 2, that I have a very concrete idea in my head of what that name means to a video game, and this doesn't really seem to line up. This seems to line up more with like Soma or something more like that to me.
No, I get that.
So that's, I guess, why it makes me scratch my head. In any case, it looks fine and it looks good.
I was actually really excited by it.
Yeah. Oh man, what if they have that thing where you go through, in Prey, where you like go through the portal and then you open up like on that sphere that's like in the middle of a room and you're tiny on top of it and there's like aliens in there. Did you ever play the original Prey?
I played a little bit of it. I didn't play the whole thing.
I didn't get all the way to the end, but I kind of want to go back and finish it. All right, so from there we talked about Doom. we had one of the developers come in and talk about what's coming up for Doom.
Yeah, a lot of free updates.
So there's going to be some new snap map where they're going to have new modules, new props, new maps, new et cetera, et cetera. Multiplayer is getting one flag capture, one flag CTF zone mode, multi-zone capture and hold mode called Sector. I forget what the first one's called. And then later in the summer, there's going to be 3 different free-for-all modes coming, which I feel like is, when we were playing it, it was like, does this game really not have a free-for-all mode?
Yeah.
Apparently not. Which is good. I'm glad that they're concentrating on it. There's also going to be some...
there's going to be some paid for DLC, though.
Yeah, there's going to be a DLC, which I'm sure,
It comes with like 3 maps and a new demon.
Yeah, it's actually got a bunch of stuff. It's got 3 new multiplayer maps, new demon, new weapon, which I don't know what weapon you can put in there, and new armors and taunts and all that cosmetic stuff. And then last but certainly not least, I appreciate it that the guy that I keep forgetting who's who on these ones. Dudo #1 came out and was like, and remember back in the old days when there was shareware? Well, we're making the first level of Doom free on Steam for demo.
1 week.
For 1 week, which seems a little weird. Like, wouldn't you just let it be a demo? In any case, Doom's a rock and roll game.
Yeah.
So if you
haven't played it, play that demo. You get to play the first level. No multiplayer, just the first level.
Yeah.
And try it out. We think you'll like it. I know Jeff and I really enjoyed it. Or go watch our Sunday streaming video.
Sure. Yeah. Well, when we played it, actually, it's funny because on the I was watching one of the wrap-up videos, and one of the guys there made a really good point. It might have been on IGN. I'm sorry, dude, I can't remember your name. Where he actually said that it's good that they're making the first level available as a demo, but it might work better if you made like the 4th level available as a demo when you really are starting to pick up momentum with the number of different guns and weapons and armor and powers and stuff that
That's
you have.
a good point.
But still, it's a fun game. If you haven't played it or you're on the edge, just go play it. It's free, whatever.
For 1 week.
What's that?
For 1 week.
For 1 week, yeah. Do it now rather than later. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about Elder Scrolls Online. Before we talk about Elder Scrolls Online, can we talk about that one lady in the front row who's really
my God,
super
the entire thing.
excited?
Like, woo!
I feel like it's this guy's wife, because every time the dev that's up here that's talking about it says anything about it, and we're talking about, I'm going to tell you what he announced, and some of the things that he announced are like, also, you can play more matches with your friends. She's like, fuck yeah! Yes, motherfucker! Just like
I am having an orgasm right now.
Just screaming her balls off about that stuff, man. They also, I love the way that they're like, man, we have 7 million players, and this was MMO of the year last year.
There were 13 billion quests that were completed.
It's like, yeah.
3 billion gold paid in bounties.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. 578 million mud crabs killed. Okay, I missed that part. All right, so let's talk about what they actually talked about for Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
I tried playing Elder Scrolls Online. It doesn't seem like a bad game, but it seems like a game that's really for people that are hardcore into MMOs.
Yeah,
not,
I can't
not
play
the casuals.
MMOs. I can't do MMOs.
It just doesn't. It takes a long time to get stuff, and you can ride a camel. Never mind. Game of the year, 10 out of 10.
You can ride a bear too.
Fuck bears. I want a camel mount. All right, so what's going on here? They did a highlight reel of all the stuff they've done, which is what we're looking at right now. And then they showed a trailer for the Dark Brotherhood DLC.
Well, they also, before they showed this, they said that they're going to remove the level restrictions.
They said that after, actually.
Oh, okay. What's it after?
I have that down here.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
get to that in just a second.
I was wrong then. I'm wrong. We'll talk about it in a second.
I do like the fact that it looks like there's some dudes in the Dark Brotherhood that are skeletons.
Yeah. Well, they are the Dark Brotherhood.
Well, okay. I played the Dark Brotherhood quest in Skyrim, and they were all right, but like, I don't know, man. Even in our chat room on Rage Select, when they said, "Oh, we're putting the Dark Brotherhood in there," it was like, "Fuck yes!" And it's like, I almost wanted to ask everybody saying "fuck yes." Is that going to make you play Elder Scrolls Online?
No.
Like, is that like? I know that you like the Dark Brotherhood, but is that going to get you to?
Yeah, woo!
Yeah, motherfucker!
Great! I love it.
So yeah, the trailer is a lot of gravelly voice, a lot of Dark Brotherhoods, a lot of stuff. I did think they said there's going to be a lot of repeatable quests, which I guess means they're just going to be like, now go murder this guy, now go murder this lady. What are you selling? Yeah. The final thing is what John was talking about today, and it's called One Tamriel, where apparently this sounds like a terrible idea to me.
Basically they're removing the level restrictions from the entire world.
Not just that, but apparently they're going to like auto level you to whatever content you want to be playing.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get out of the tutorial, you can go anywhere in the world and do any quest, and it'll adjust your power to be able to play that quest.
Yeah.
Which sounds well and good for like no barrier to entry for people who want to play the game. On the other hand, also seems like, isn't this just going to remove all of the power that you feel when you've been playing the game for a long period of time?
What's the fucking point of leveling at that point?
Right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat room who plays or in the comments who plays ESO can tell me. It seems weird. I mean, he did say like no other game has ever done this before, and I'm like, yeah, I think
there's a
reason why nobody's done that before. I think they're trying to get people to come in, play the game brand new, go to the Dark Brotherhood quest immediately and play it with their friends or whatever if they feel like it.
Yeah, I think that's actually a big thing.
But I just don't know. It just doesn't. It's not really. It's not blowing my britches off. So
I don't play MMOs. So.
Yeah. All right. So we're actually getting to the big kind of cap for this. But before we do. Shut up, lady. Before we get that, they actually talked about the Bethesda had a few VR booths set up.
Yes, they did.
And they had Fallout 4, and they had Doom running in VR. I think Doom might have just been like walk around.
Yeah, it was just like walk around the levels.
Doom is so fast that I don't know.
Yeah, no. It wasn't like actual gameplay of Doom. It's like walk around the levels and look at things. Whereas the Fallout, though, was actual like play the game.
Actually, I read an article where somebody said it's not.
Oh, it
was basically the Red Rocket stuff. And you have a 10 millimeter pistol, and you can plink away. They have a bunch of mannequins set up that you can plink away at, stuff. Now, one of the other developers in the after show did say that, like, if you walked away from that Red Rocket truck stop, that the entire game was just running over there. But they set up for people, like, for 5 minutes to walk around in this one particular area. It looks like they're probably using Vives for this. I don't know. I didn't get a reading, but they're definitely using whatever the like motion control wands are.
Yeah.
Because the way, no, it was Vives, because the guy said that like the way that it was set up was like they had it in that room space configuration. So you had your 10 millimeter pistol in your right hand, and you could hold up the wand and shoot with it, right?
Yeah.
And then on your left hand, you pulled the thing up, and it was basically just a floating Pip-Boy that you could look at. I don't know if you could interact with it though, but you could like look at it. The person who was talking about it did say there were no arms, which is the thing that I'm seeing in a lot of this VR where I'm like, I mean, I know that it could fuck up, but quit making hands that just float. Like, put some arms on there and try at least. You know, maybe they were going to flop around or they're not going to bend right, but it seems like you could figure that out as opposed to just a Pip-Boy floating in space.
Well, I think it's partially because of, you know, different people have different lengths of arms, and me holding my fist in front of my face is not the same as distance that you would like it, like arm length wise.
I feel like they
break the model.
I understand. I feel like they could adjust for that. That they could make some adjustments in like the forearm or whatever on the fly, right? Like they could be like, put your arm up to your face, right, and then make an arm that would probably fit based on that.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, I don't know. It's just one of those pet peeve things of mine where I'm like, that breaks immersion for me. And like what you want out of VR is a lot of immersion. The guy that was talking about also said that you could like walk around in the area and it would actually track you walking. But then if you wanted to go further, you could like use the sticks on the little Vive things to move you outside of that area. So it's almost like you can walk around the entire room wherever you want to in a confined area and then go further out from there. If that ever actually comes out in Fallout 4, I know a guy who's got a Vive. Also, Brushwood has a Vive in Fallout 4, so maybe I can go over.
You know a guy.
I know a few guys with a Vive and Fallout 4. I can go over there and we can record a video of Brian Brushwood bumping up against the wall and screaming at rad roaches for 20 minutes, and I'm sure everybody will enjoy that.
Oh,
right?
in space!
It'll be oh man, if you look down and see the burned wreckage of Almond Space, if you look to a mirror and looked in that mirror and what was looking back at you was Almond Space, the horror. I think it sounds pretty cool. I hope that they do that because a game like Skyrim or Fallout or whatever would be great for VR because it's a big fat world full of stuff. All right, so now we get into the big meats, the huge meats of the Bethesda press conference, and that is Dishonored 2, which turned out to be their big flagship title. Like that's the thing they spent the most time talking about the entire time. So they started out by basically talking, kind of showing the area. And I don't know if we knew this before, but this place is called Karnaca. And it's like a port town.
Yeah, it's like a port town. There's submarines and things like that. Yeah.
And it definitely has a very different feel to the kind of ashy gray, oppressive industrial feel of Dishonored. Like it's got a lot of color in it, like a lot of
it does.
Reds and stuff. It doesn't have that kind of weird blue gray pallor over it the entire time. And I'm going to say a lot of good things about this.
Yeah.
Like it looks really good. Like the new enemy character models, like the whole thing. When I look at these screenshots, the world feels real lived in. They got these crazy fucking cars,
train cars on tracks or whatever.
Yeah, like
these mechanical robot things.
Just the whole thing is dripping with style, with kind of otherworldly style.
Someone in the chat made this comment, and I actually kind of agree with him. It kind of has a BioShock feel to it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that some of that is the way that they warp the player models.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but just like the design of the aesthetic of the environments and things like that. Like when they were showing the inside and they were showing like these robots that kind of had very a BioShock Infinite feel to them.
Okay.
And then they showed this other area because it's also water is nearby and there's a lot of submarine type stuff. And like there's a very it just feels like some of it felt like Rapture, some of it felt like, I mean, none of it's underwater, but I mean, some of it, the design aesthetic of it.
I got what you're saying. It's very alien, but kind of familiar at the same time and interesting. It's like they did a really good job with their art assets of splitting the difference between, hey, I know what that is, or hey, I can suss out what that is. Like the car that we saw early on. Look, you guys, I can tell it's a car, but it looks so weird. So the story of this is kind of interesting. Oh, wait, I've got a few more notes down here. I have a feeling we've seen in a number of the different trailers these little mosquito-looking motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet they look like an infestation. I'd be willing to bet that they're going to be like the rats of this.
Okay.
That they're like the things that you can sick on other people. Anyway, so this game starts and ends in Dunwall, apparently. Yeah. But in between, you're going to be in this Karnaca. And one of the most kind of disconcerting things I think that I see here is this very beginning part where you see Corvo without the mask on, which I don't think we've ever seen before.
I thought you did see him in the first game, like at the very beginning of the game.
I think it was all first person.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, I don't think they ever zoomed out from him because you walk up to the princess.
Oh, good point.
Right,
good point,
you're talking to her, or the queen.
This is the first time you've really seen his face.
He's all grizzled and haggard and got a lot of gray in his beard.
He's also old.
Yeah. So him and
this is like what, 12 years after the last one, or
something like that. Him and Emily are ruling. Emily is the queen's daughter who's now ruling Dunwall, but there appears to be a what they said in part of this is an otherworldly usurper claims the throne, and then later on they identify this character called the Duke of Serkonos, who I believe is probably who they're talking about.
Yeah, I bet you anything like he's the guy who is ruling Kanaka or whatever the fuck it's called.
I'm also wondering if it's this lady, or I guess
it
should be the
person,
Duchess, but yeah. I don't know.
Well, I figured it was the guy that was in that first trailer. That when you see what's her name breaking into the place, and then at the very end, there's the table.
Oh, I think he's just a hench.
Oh, okay. He could be just a hench.
And there's parts of this trailer at the beginning that are interesting, where they kind of show some of the people that are kind of hangers onto the court. There's one that says there's this lady in there that's very sinister. Yeah. But one of the things, I guess we didn't know this until now, was that you can play as either Emily or as Corvo.
Yes.
Now I'm wondering how they said that that there's going to be different like dialogue and different like slightly
narratives would be different. The narrative would be, for the most part, the same, but there'd be slight moments that would be different or from a different perspective.
I often wonder when I look at the powers here, because a lot of this trailer is from Emily's point of view.
Yes,
Or
though
actually,
they do show one section that's not from Emily's point of view.
Was the actual gameplay section?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
we'll probably see it. But anyway, her set of powers seems like it's really interesting and different than Corvo's.
Yeah, Corvo's, they said, is his power set is the same but upgraded.
Right.
So
okay. So let me see if I've got. I was struck by. I mean, it just seems like this is a thing from Dishonored 1. Good voice acting. Like it seems like there's some. Really good voice
they got a
acting
ton of good voice actors in here.
Okay, so the second part of this gameplay demo is the Dust District, which all of the entirety of this, they set up that there's like different warring factions here, and you can deal with one or deal with the other or whatever. That there's multiple ways. It's, you know what? I never made this connection, but it seems a lot like Deus Ex, that there's a bunch of different ways to do things.
We go into the Batista mines.
Yes.
The Dave Batista mines.
Thank you for making that joke.
Wrestling.
So let me see about the things that I can say about this particular that I have notes on. It seems like there's a lot. I mean, like they have the same teleport power from Dishonored.
Yeah.
The developer said that they're having actually a lot more verticality in this game, so there's going to be a lot more ways to get up and on top of things. Rather than the copious amounts of whale oil in the first game, that looks like there's going to be a lot of wind power because of how close this is to the ocean.
Yes.
So there's a lot of windmills and turbines that you can stop and
weather
various stuff with. And there's totally weather. Yeah, later on we actually see Emily sneak up on a guy and use a sandstorm as a cover to assassinate.
It changes everything. Weather.
That's weather, man. Fucking, you can't fuck with the weather. I bet Quake's going to have hella weather, right?
Fuck yeah.
So much weather. They're patching weather into Fallout 4. Doom is getting 6 new weather updates with that DLC. Anyway, I did notice when I looked at the visual prompts here that even though the character that's playing the game is killing everybody, there does appear to be full non-lethal. So I'm sure that there's going to be the same kind of weird, like, if you kill everybody, then that makes more of the blood bugs, and then they're everywhere, and you've got to deal with them as opposed to not. Let me see. There's some of the powers here that looked like they were really, really interesting. This one comes a little bit later. We actually see a little bit of just the straight-up combat here, where Emily fights a few people, and you get the same kind of like sword in one hand, gun in the other hand, but you also see her pull like a thing of whale oil out and use it as an explosive. There's a part later on where we see a couple of different powers from her. One is called Mesmerize, which is kind of cool, where you just place down a thing and then everybody looks at it and they don't pay any attention to you.
Apparently they even if they see you, they don't remember you being there.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing. Like even if they see you, they won't remember you once the Mesmerize wears off.
Yeah. It's a cool looking effect. It kind of reminds me of the it reminds me of the aliens from the original XCOM trailer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Like this weird kind of like shape in the sky looking at people. Yeah, now that you've said it, I can't stop thinking about BioShock.
Yeah.
I like the number of like jumping up on top of things. That was one of my favorite things in Dishonored.
Yeah, there was a really cool sequence, which it hasn't happened yet, but it will. Like where she's walking in front of an elevator, and there's stairs next to the elevator, and she starts to turn, and she sees someone coming down the stairs, so she moves back and then climbs up the side of the wall, and then waits for the guy to walk underneath her, and then comes down. And I thought that was really cool looking.
Yeah. It looks like
here it is.
Oh, okay. It looks like there's a lot of. It just it looks like a hell of a lot of fun. Like this is one of those games where Dishonored 1 kind of came out of nowhere, or I don't remember it being like heavily marketed. Was real fun. Didn't wear out its welcome. I never played any of the DLC, but I heard it was all real good.
Yeah.
And this just looks like more of the same plus bonus plus good stuff. There's also this stun line thing that happens where in this particular sequence we're looking at where. She chains a few people together and then uses this thing called Domino on one of them that knocks them out, as well as everybody else that's attached, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
At the very end, there's a thing called Shadow Walk, where it looks like she turns invisible and then turns into one of those smoke monsters from Prey. What if that's the aliens from Prey? Is actually who's the name of the Satan guy? like the Outsider or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks cool. It also looks remarkably close to being finished.
Yeah, no, it looks remarkably done.
Like very polished, very like lots of different.
Like they could have said, and this game will be out next month, and I would have been like, okay,
yeah,
I would believe it.
I was so waiting for somebody at this E3, John, to be like, and it's out now.
Kind of.
There were two.
Sort of.
There was a few PC. There was one on the PC. There was one from Ubisoft. We'll get back to it.
Sort of.
Yeah. So let's see. From here,
after the shadow crawl, not really so much a walk as it is a crawl.
Yeah, fucking rip that dude's arms off.
Yeah, they kind of moved to a thing where they actually, I want to say it's Corvo.
In the manor section?
Oh, in this?
No.
Or is it still her?
I don't know. I can't tell. It's hard to tell. Anyway, this manor section, which is the what's the next? This is the last kind of like gameplay, walkthrough section. This section is rad because the character has this like gadget that puts up like a fan of almost like what looks like flower petals.
Yeah,
where you're in this manor and you're actually in the manor in two different time periods. And when you look at this, it's like holding up a screen on one side of the screen, where you can see the past and you can see the future, and you could move between those two different time periods. So like in the past, the place is ruins, so there's like gates that aren't up, but there might be other things that are like broken or
something blocking your way.
Right.
Whereas in the past one, like obviously there are guys or there are gates that are closed.
Right. There's guards. And I love the place where I don't know which one, whoever it is, kills a guard and then is looking in the past and sees another guard be like, "What? He's dead," and runs over. Like, I don't know if this is going to be like one specific section of the game where you just do this, or it's going to be closed off into certain sections. But it would be hella cool if at a certain point you get this thing and they built the entire game twice, where you can look into the future, and switch between the future and the past. That would be...
Yeah, that'd actually be really cool.
That'd be rock and roll. I got the feeling it's probably just going to be a couple of...
It probably is going to be like
set pieces
right near the end, of the game.
Yep. So I don't know if this has been done before, but they have a release date, November of this year, November 11th. And then because, John, it just wouldn't be... We've gone through 2 full press conferences without a trailer set to slow rock and roll music.
Wasn't this a Heart song originally?
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac. Sorry, I don't know why I thought Heart.
Gold Dust Woman by Fleetwood Mac.
Because when I heard it, I'm sitting there. I literally, legitimately, like me and Amanda are sitting there, and Amanda was like, "Oh, great, another one of these." Like, I recognize the lyrics. What song is this?
Yeah,
and she was just like, "You don't know?" I was like, "I can't place it."
Well, what's funny for me is that I think that Hole did a cover of this.
Oh, yeah.
And that was relatively popular, and that's kind of what I thought of. This, that you saw the lady there that seems like she's kind of evil. This lady right here.
True, yeah.
Pulling swords out of herself. So here we got a montage trailer. I mean, honestly, what am I going to do? Continue to bitch constantly about this? I mean, I will, but I'll just do it in my own time, because I know you guys are tired of hearing about it.
I like the montage trailer.
I gotta wonder about, it looks like the Satan is back.
Yeah.
The big devil's back.
Well, of course, he probably is the one who gives what's her name her powers.
Gives Emily her powers. Yeah. I mean, this just looks rock solid. It looks like Emily's has a ring that gives her a certain number of powers.
Yeah.
Whereas Corvo has the mask. They actually announced at the end of this a collector's edition where if you order it, you get
both
Emily's
the mask
ring
and the ring.
Yeah, like a
replica, full size.
Yeah, I like
for
that.
all you cosplayers out there.
Well, it's funny since they say replica. It's almost like I wonder whether it's going to be wearable or whether it's going to be some horse shit.
I know the ring is wearable.
Yeah,
I want to say they said the mask was wearable too.
That's cool. I'm going to need one of you guys out there to get this and then ship me the mask so that I can wear it to the bar.
Also, there was something else that was, and we can get it after this, that I just that thought about this saying replica. They didn't announce it at E3, but apparently they're doing another Pip-Boy replica.
Oh, really?
That actually has its own screen that connects Bluetooth to your phone.
Oh, man. No.
That's like $350.
No.
It even has like working knobs and everything.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. So yeah, collector's edition. This trailer looks cool. Dishonored 2 looks cool. It's one of those
great.
things. I'm gonna file it in the Jeff camp under like, you have excited me enough. Give me this fucking game, which they're going to in November. But like, don't keep showing me it for every 10 seconds because you've got my money already, Bethesda. Couple of quick last minute things. I mentioned the collector's edition, but they also said that if you pre-order Dishonored 2, you're going to get the Dishonored 1 collector's edition. So
Dishonored 1, you mean collector's edition?
The not collector's edition, the
Game of the Year,
the complete edition or whatever
complete.
it is.
Okay, yeah,
the one that was remastered that came with all the DLC.
Okay,
so don't pre-order, but if you gotta, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's a pretty good deal. I'm not gonna poo-poo too much on that. And that was the Bethesda conference. Now I was really, really tired when I watched this, John.
Yeah.
I guess that like I may have just been suffering a little bit from
being awake for like 32 hours.
Well, something that there was definitely that. But last year, I mean, Bethesda, they fucking killed it.
Yeah, no, they came out. They were like, "Oh yeah, Fallout Shelter, you didn't even know about, but guess what? It's out now."
Well, not that. It was the fact that like we didn't know. They kept Fallout 4 with rumors, right?
Yeah.
But they kept that under wraps, and then like here's Fallout 4, and then they showed Fallout 4, a brand new game that we had never seen before, for like 35 or 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Just here's the caravans, here's the dog, here's your Pip-Boy, here's you coming out of the vault. They showed that whole first part, the vault tech salesman, and coming out of the vault and going. They showed some Diamond City. They showed a bunch of stuff. It was hella. They just showed hella. They showed hella. And this year, they showed hella Dishonored. But even the amount of Dishonored they showed, I don't feel as much as it didn't have as much oomph as Fallout 4 because Dishonored looks like a really good sequel to the initial Dishonored, but I've already played Dishonored, whereas there was a lot more for them to show in Fallout 4.
Yeah, no, I get that.
That combined with a bunch of stuff we already know, combined with some stuff that I'm not like super, super into. I mean, for me, Quake, Prey, Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
ESO, the card game, Fallout 4 DLC, I figured that was coming anyway. Fallout Shelter, man, these things are like, man. But I'm a sucker for brand new IP, and they showed 2 brand new IPs. So
I look at it this way, like
3 with
comparing it to last year, which is what you want to compare it to. Yes, you are right. This one was a little subpar compared to last year. However, I have to say this was a decent press event. Like we got showed a lot.
It was better than EA by miles.
Yeah,
miles and miles. I would maybe even say that in the grand scheme of things, I might have liked it more than Microsoft, but we're not quite there yet. I might even have liked it more than Ubisoft. I got to tell you, John, before we continue to move on, that, again, last year we had some they're probably not going to watch it this year, but last year we had some folks who definitely chimed in and were just like, man, you guys are negative as hell. You just like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck. And it's because, I guess for me, it's because I've seen so many E3s. I don't want subpar E3s. I want E3 to come out and just blow my brains out.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I think I was watching one of the pre-E3 shows or one of the Day Zero pre-shows or whatever.
Yeah.
And someone asked like another person like, "So, what do you want to see? Like what are you excited about?" And they were like, I'm excited about the things that I don't know about. Well, I want to be shown something that I have never seen, that I didn't even know was on the plate. And I feel like we didn't get a lot of that this year.
I mean, I thought for certain that Bethesda was going to show a new Wolfenstein. I thought that was going to be their trump card. But Quake is good. I feel like, though, their Quake announcement was a little bit weaker than their Doom I don't really even remember Wolfenstein being shown anywhere. Wolfenstein just kind of came out.
Wolfenstein had like no fanfare behind it when it first came out. Like it literally... and I can honestly be truthful on this. Like no one was talking about it. No one gave a shit.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and suddenly all the reviewers, like the gaming website, are like, no, this is like one of the best games you will play this year. This game is fucking awesome. And then like more people started playing, and they're like, oh no, this game is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The hype for Wolfenstein didn't happen until the week after the game came out.
Yeah. But all in all, I mean, Bethesda has a decent showing. You know what? I feel like Bethesda had a leg up last year because they literally they could have put on a mediocre show and it would have been fine. It was their first time.
Yeah.
They put on such a good show last year that then they feel like they ran into the trouble of like, well, what the fuck are we going to fill up an hour with, right? Like we've already, Fallout 4 is in develop. We've got this Quake in development, but we don't have anything to show for it. So it was good. I think it was a decent press conference. I think it was fine. It didn't blow me out of the water. Maybe it blew you out of the water, listener. Maybe it was the biggest one for you. Let us know down in the comments. Let us know what you think. And with that, I think we're going to wrap it up, John.
All right.
I think we're just right at about 2 hours, about an hour per. So we're going to wrap it up. Join us back here at an indeterminate amount of time for the next one, because we're just going to record all of them, and then I'm going to release 8 hours of podcast on the same day. That'll definitely it's binge watch season, man.
Yeah, okay.
You can, while you're watching Orange is the New Black, binge watch. You can binge listen to Rage Selects or binge watch Voltron. Man, that Voltron's good.
That Voltron's so good.
It was so good.
It was so good. I wish there was more.
I guess we're going to talk about that later on.
Yeah.
Anyway, join us back here. The next one is going to be Microsoft and PC. And then the third one is going to be, we're going to have a third one that is focusing on Ubisoft and Sony. And then we're going to have a fourth one, which I think is going to roll into the regular podcast, which is going to just be
Nintendo and whatever else we saw that was announced.
And other stuff. So, hope you enjoyed it. Tell us how angry we are in the comments below and how the EA thing was fine, or don't. Or do whatever you feel like. I don't really
Or just sit there and yell Stone Mountain at your screen.
Yeah.
Be like, Stone Mountain!
Stone Mountain!